Good morning. Happy December 2nd, you guys. It is Saturday, December 2nd. Come on into the room. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Just fixing a few settings here. Trying to figure out, let's see. Since the last time I went live, I was at my desk, but now we have a little bit of a different background area going on here, so I'm really excited about that. I'm going to go ahead and send out this email to let everybody know I'm live. Welcome to our, I don't even know if I would call this December to Remember. I don't really have a name for it, but if you know, you know. First of all, let me go ahead and say who I am. Right? Pause. So that you can figure out what's really going on here. My name is Victoria Grace. I am the founder of Dare to Pursue, which if you're on this live right now, if you're here with me on TikTok, if you're rewatching this, maybe on YouTube, if this makes it to YouTube, then that's this community, Dare to Pursue. So Dare to Pursue is a ministry that God has given me, which I just so grateful, so happy about. There's so many different things that he is about to continue to do for our community. However, right here, right now, if you're with me, back in October, we had our first MVP day, Most Valuable Player Day of the year on October 13th, 2023. And it was just such a good time. And God was just saying so many things to us and giving us so many revelations and so many different things. And from that time, we started in September, we have been reading pretty much through the Old Testament, reading through Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Okay, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And so we stopped pretty much at the end of Deuteronomy. If you were with me live the other day, then you already know that I said, hey, go back and read Deuteronomy 28 through 34, or actually 25 through 34, so that you could really know what was up, so that you can be reminded, because we kind of had a break in the month of November. But we're now in Joshua. And I've been telling you guys for the longest time that you are the Joshua of your generation. You are the Joshua of your bloodline, which means you are the most valuable player right here, right now. And so Dare to Pursue is literally where I get to pair the science of behavior change in my trade, in my what I went to school for. I'm also a behavior analyst, and so I literally help people change their behavior. And so God has given me the ability to be able to pair what I went to school for with faith, and it's through Dare to Pursue. Now, real quick, Dare to Pursue is a 10-step process. If you have no idea, you just need to make sure you're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm very, very new here. Go ahead and click that link in my bio. Get on the email list. I will send out emails and let you guys know everything. But also, if you check the website, you'll get to learn more about what Dare to Pursue is. I'm currently finishing up our actual website, but at least the link in bio kind of gives you a synopsis of what we have going on right now, okay? So, again, my name is Victoria Grace. I am a BCBA, as well as the founder of Dare to Pursue. And for the next 30 days, so from now until December 31st, we will be in this book of Joshua, studying the book of Joshua and whatever else God leads us to study, because he needs you to know and understand that you really are the Joshua of your generation. Like, it's not just something that is cute to say. It's not just something that I've been saying for no reason. You are the change agent in your family right here, right now. You are the generational curse breaker and the generational wealth builder right here, right now. And I'm just really excited about that. So I said in the last live that you guys should start reading Joshua. You should have already started. Today is the second day. Today is day number 2. So you should be in Joshua chapter 2 today. That's why I want to come on early to give you guys this reminder. You should be in Joshua chapter 2. And there's so much going on. So I'm going to go back to Joshua chapter 1 since we didn't have our live yesterday. We'll probably have another one this evening so we can make sure we're all on track here. But hold on, let me pull it up. Okay. So Joshua chapter 1. I'm very, very excited though, you guys. It's so interesting because I knew leading up the December was going to be something. I just didn't know what until God kind of finally revealed it to me. And it's exciting because the year is not over. And I said that in our last live, like the year is not over yet. The year is not over yet. The year is not over yet. You still have time to give God your yes. You still have time to do what it is that he's telling you to do. You still have time to fast if you know he told you to fast about 11 times this year and you ain't do it not nan time. You still have time to pray. Like you always have time to pray. You need to do it. You still have time. But for some of these things and for some of us, it's time sensitive. It's time sensitive. And because you've been procrastinating, because you haven't been moving when God tells you to move, it's like the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. And it's unfortunate because some of us may get left behind, but that's why I'm here and I'm trying to make sure that that doesn't happen to you, that's not me, that's not nobody that we know. I'm really trying to do my best here and of course just do whatever God tells me to do, but you do not want to get left behind. And I think that God is at this point where we are in this place where he is pouring out his spirit on all of his sons and daughters. He is telling us what to do and how to do it. He wants us to take back the airwaves. He wants us to take back these mountains that the enemy thought he controlled. When in reality, it's always been somebody like me. It's always been somebody like you that the mountain was destined to, that the mountain was had your name on it. You just weren't there yet. You just hadn't gotten there yet. And so that's why we're in the book of Joshua. And I believe I told you guys at the beginning of 2023, this was the Show Me Your Glory year. And I'm positive it's going to fall over into 2024. I'm positive that God is going to give us some direction, and we will be having another fast coming up very soon here concerning Show Me Your Glory. And it's just imperative, like the things that God has had me say, I haven't been saying just because I want to say them, or I haven't been saying just because I feel like getting on your nerves saying them. I'm saying them because God is at this place where he needs us to hear him. He wants us to see his glory. He wants us to live in a place of unlimited possibilities. I say it all the time. My life is a living testimony of what heaven has announced, and he wants the same thing for you. And I know that there's so much more that God wants to do in my life. But again, he wants the same for you. It is not just for people like me. It is, and again, people like me, I'm not even related to a church. Like, yes, we go to church, but I don't have like a position at church. Like if he could do it for me, and if he can do it for people who have positions at the church, and he can do it for people who have these big names and these, big things going on social media, he can, and he wants to do it for you too. And I just hope that you understand that. That's why we in Joshua, okay? That is why we're in Joshua, because we have to really study this. And we have to study what God is saying and the instructions that he gave Joshua. I think nowadays we are so bent on not following directions. We're so bent on doing what we want to do and what makes us comfortable and how it makes us feel, rather than the spiritual implications that might happen based upon that decision that we make, or the actual instructions to tell us how to put that thing together. Like, how many people do not read instructions when they buy something? Because I know I don't. Depending on what it is. Now, if it came from IKEA, I gotta read the instructions, right? But I'm not reading the instructions when I get a new iPhone. Like, I'm not reading the instructions when I get a new pair of headphones. Like, I'm not reading the instructions. And God is saying, I need you to go back, my son. I need you to go back, my daughter, and actually read the instructions. See what I put in here, because I literally gave you the playbook. I literally gave you everything that you need to do so that you can be prosperous. I literally gave you everything, but you haven't read the instructions. And that's why so many of God's people perish for lack of knowledge, because they lack knowledge. They haven't read this book of instructions. Mind you, I have the Bible on my phone, but they haven't read this book of instructions. So again, if you have not already, and you're listening to this live with me right now, or you are watching the replay and you haven't read Deuteronomy 25 through 34, go back and read it, because Deuteronomy is the actual book of instructions. That's what Deuteronomy means. It is a book of instructions. I'm not going to go over that again with you guys unless God leads me to, but it is an actual book of instructions. It tells you exactly what will happen to you when you obey, and it tells you exactly the curses that will be brought upon you if you disobey, which I loved going through Deuteronomy 28, because if you don't know who those people are, then maybe it's very plain as day to see who those people are that God was talking to in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Those curses are very aligned with a certain group of people. And when I look at social media today, when I go out into the world, I see that same certain group of people making the same mistakes as they did in Deuteronomy 28, which is why them same curses are still prevalent today. So we will go deeper into curses. Again, I tell you guys all the time, you are the generational wealth builders and the generational curse breakers. Like, I'm not saying that just to hear myself talk. Curses are very real and they very much exist. If all of the women in your family get cancer, if all of the women in your family have alopecia, if nobody in your family is married, if nobody in your family can have a baby, like they always having miscarriages or they just don't get pregnant, if everybody in your family, this includes men too, right? Men and or women, if everybody is addicted to some type of drug, doesn't matter if it's weed or if it's heroin, like, it's still a drug. Pill is still a drug, right? Like, doesn't matter if multiple people, like, and when I say multiple people, I don't mean just like all the cousins like to smoke weed together, right? Like, okay, yeah, all right, might be something there, but like, I mean, like, okay, you got your cousin that's your age, then you got your cousin's mama, then maybe even your cousin's daddy, then you got your cousin's mama, then you get what I'm saying? Like, go down or going up, however you're looking at it, that family tree, and everybody is struggling with that thing. Struggling with migraines, struggling with, like, the list can go on. And so again, these curses can be broken. Go to the prayer of activation of spiritual warfare prayer right in the link in my bio if you know for a fact you need to be praying that prayer, or if you're just like, I have no idea, but I know it's something on my bloodline and I know that God has called me to be the generational wealth builder and the generational curse breaker. The prayer of activation of spiritual warfare is at the link in my bio, and it covers breaking and severing those curses, and it activates you in the spirit as God's official legislature and ambassador here in the earth realm. We actually will be praying it. I planned to do it last night, but didn't happen, so I'll probably be doing it tonight at least 3 times throughout our time together this month of December. It is a long prayer, but our words have power. Okay, it is a long prayer, but our words have power. There's life and death in the power of our tongue. Okay, so Joshua chapter 1. Let's get right into it. Again, I'm not about to just read it to you. I am going to go over the parts that I highlighted. Okay, again, you got to do some work on your own too. You have to do some work on your own. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm going to go back to Deuteronomy 34, and I am going to read all of that. It's only 12 verses, but it kind of leads us right into Joshua chapter 1. So Deuteronomy 34 in the NLT, this is the death of Moses. And before Moses dies, he blesses the people. Okay, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But then it says, then Moses went up to Mount Nebo from the plains of Moab and climbed a peak, which is across from Jericho. And the Lord showed him the whole land, from Gilead as far as Dan, and the land of Naphtali, the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Judah, extending to the Mediterranean Sea, the Negev, the Jordan Valley, with Jericho, the city of palms, as far as Zoar. Then the Lord said to Moses, this is the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when I said, I will give it to your descendants. I have now allowed you to see it with your own eyes, but you will not enter the land. This is so important. That's why I say, let me go on back to Deuteronomy 34, because our man Moses did not even get a chance to enter into the promised land. He did not even get an opportunity. He did get to see it though. God was gracious enough to allow him to see it, but he did not allow him to go in. Again, if you need a reminder of this, take your cell phone back to the videos that we have on YouTube, as well as just go ahead for yourself and read the book of Deuteronomy. Start with the book of Exodus. If you missed it, you just got to go back and watch all the lives, because God gave them chance after chance after chance, and they continue to mess up. It's really quite sad. It's really like pathetic. And it's like, when I look at that and then look at our people of today, we're making the same mistakes, doing the same things. And it's just like, it's not that difficult. What don't y'all understand? But anyways, Moses didn't get a chance to go in. After all he did not get a chance to go in. He said, so Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, just as the Lord had said. The Lord buried him in a valley near Beth Peor in Moab, but to this day, no one knows the exact place. Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyesight was clear and he was strong as ever, which lets us know we can live to 120 years old and still be in our right mind. Okay. And I feel like these nuggets are so important to see and to realize, because we think that our family members dying in their 40s and 50s is normal. We think that all of these things are normal, and it's not. But because we don't know our word, because we lack knowledge, because we don't realize the power and the authority and the grace that God has given us, and we don't realize who we are as a people, we just accept these things that the world is giving us. Remember, we are in the world, but not of the world. It says, so the people of Israel mourned for Moses on the plains of Moab for 30 days until the customary period of mourning was over. Now Joshua, son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands on him. So the people of Israel obeyed him, doing just as the Lord had commanded Moses. There has never been another prophet in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. The Lord sent him to perform all the miraculous signs and wonders in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh and all his servants and his entire land. With mighty power, Moses performed terrifying acts in the sight of all Israel and the world to see. Okay? So that's the end of the book of Deuteronomy. Again, go back and read it. It's good. It gets real good. Okay? It gets really, really good. And we go right into Joshua chapter 1. Again, I'm not going to read all of this, but I do want to highlight some parts for you. This is the Lord's charge to Joshua. And I ended up looking up the word charge, and I want to share this with you guys, because it doesn't just say the Lord's charge to Joshua. Joshua then goes and makes a charge to those in Israel, to the Israelites. So a charge is, hold on, I had it here. Okay, so of course we know a charge, like somebody charging you some money at the store or something like that. The first thing that it comes up with is a demand, right? Or as a price from someone for a service rendered. Then a charge, right, is to accuse someone of something. So you have charges pressed, right? You have charges against you. Then it says to entrust someone with a task as a duty or responsibility. This is the one. We have been charged. So if you know anything about Dare to Pursue, if you're not new, if you're OG, You know that when you go to the Successful Servant Leader website, it says very plainly that this community is a clarion call to servant leaders and modern pioneer women worldwide. A clarion call is a charge. A clarion call is like an alarm sounding. So it is a charge. We've been entrusted with a task as a duty or responsibility. We have been entrusted to pursue. We've been entrusted as the real MVPs of our bloodlines. We've been entrusted. Okay? I thought this was so good. Also, it says store electrical energy in, let's say, like a battery or battery operated device, which Dare to Pursue is all about action. As the real MVP, the most valuable player, you're not just sitting on the sidelines. You're actually an active player in whatever it is in your bloodline. You're actively doing something. So I thought these two parts of the definition were super important to mention so that you understand that you've been entrusted and you've been given an electrical current by God to be the real MVP. You've been given an electrical current. You've been given a shockwave, if you will. You've been given this mandate, this charge by God to pursue him, to pursue wealth and success his way, especially for your bloodline. You guys, that's my dog in the background. He thinks that we left, okay? Which we are about to leave, so I do have to hurry up. But I really wanted to go over that really quickly because, again, it takes me back to the point of this is all about action, okay? Action, action, action. You cannot just sit there idly. That's why I always mention the prayer of activation of spiritual warfare. I can pray it over y'all 50 times a year, but you've got to want to do it yourself. You've got to put your hand in it. You've got to be a part of it. It's interesting because, and I'm probably just going to have to finish this live later because I do have to go, but it's interesting because I was literally thinking, I was talking to a friend yesterday and we were talking about just like, because we're the MVPs in our bloodlines right here, right now. So of course we can relate on different things going on in our families, even though we're not experiencing the same things. We know the spiritual things that are going on. And so we were talking about how it sometimes gets tiring because we see all of these different things happening in our family. We see our family members doing different things, not believing or engaging in different things. And it's like, it's on us, but they're not doing their part. And there's only so much that we can do. I even tell my sister this. I'm like, I can pray for you. Mama can pray for you, but you have to do your part as well. You have to make the decision as well. Otherwise, there'll always be an open door for the enemy to come in and attack you. Like, again, what is the scripture? Sorry. Again, no weapon formed against you shall be able to prosper. However, we're praying. The hedge of protection is up, and then you go out and you're engaging in whatever you're engaging in, right? So your grandmother is praying over you. The hedge of protection is up, and then you go out, right? You go out into the world. So this is the hedge of protection. And you say, yeah, I'm going to go out here and see for myself. Now we got a crack in the door. Now we got the door open. And grandma's still praying. So you get what I'm saying? Like, your prayers are there still. But every time you make a choice to go beyond those hedges of protection, every time you make a choice to go beyond the instructions that you've been given, to do the opposite of the instructions that you've been given, every time you make a choice, you're opening a door a little bit. You're kind of like, not saying that our prayers are in vain and the prayers that have been prayed for you are in vain. However, you have a choice in the matter. I want to see if I can get a good example of this, because I hope that makes sense to you guys. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. Like, we could pray together all the time. We can fast together. We could do all the things. And the hedges of protection are up. God is lighting the path unto our feet, and we're still going. That's why people who are, especially like, because I'm talking to Christians right now. If you are listening to this and you're like, I wasn't for sure, talking to a Christian, saved, you accepted the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, okay? And that's why so many, it's like we don't know the spiritual laws. And again, I am not an expert. I'm teaching you guys things as I learn things. I'm teaching you guys from my own experiences that God has put me through, and the things that he's allowed me to see, and the dreams and the visions and things like that he gives me, the revelations that he gives me. But it's really so serious. Like, again, with the situation, let's say with a family member, right? That person has to make their decision. They have to make the choice too, and they have to put in the work too. And they have to have not that spirit of fear and not that spirit of condemnation and shame and guilt and all the things that continuously leads them down a path of destruction. But they have to have the spirit of a sound mind and self-discipline to say, you know what, I used to be that yesterday, but I'm not that anymore, and I'm not going to engage or do that anymore. So I feel like this is probably something we're going to come back to, but I want to keep going because, again, I have to go in a sec. So again, the Lord gives a charge to Joshua right after the death of Moses. And God says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Therefore, the time has come for you to lead these people, the Israelites, across the Jordan River into the land I am giving them. I promise you what I promised Moses. I have this highlighted. Wherever you set foot, you will be on land I have given you. Wherever you go, God will be with you. I literally have my son, like, he knows it. And we're going to get to the part 2 where God is like, be strong and courageous. Like, I'll say to my son, be strong and courageous, just like who? And he'll say Joshua, because as we go out, as we give God our yes, as we are daring to pursue, it is so vital that we do not allow fear, condemnation, shame, imposter syndrome, trauma, all of these things that are not from God, all of these things that we've experienced because of our participation in the world, and sometimes just because we are in the world, right? But not necessarily of the world, and it happened to us as children. All of these things, he's still saying, I've called you. You are the one that is anointed and appointed. You are the one that I'm giving the charge, but I need to remind you. He reminded Joshua, how many times did he remind him to be strong and courageous? I would have to, okay, so we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4. He reminded him 4 separate times between Joshua 1 verse 1 and 9. In 9 verses, he says it 4 times. Be strong and courageous, for I will be with you wherever you go. For I will, wherever you set foot, you will be on the land that I have given you. Be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess the land I swore to their ancestors that I would give them. And I just want to, for anybody that may be wondering, do you have any inclination? Why do you think that our ancestors did not get to where they were supposed to be? I know people be like it to like the ancestors, which is nothing wrong. Like, okay, yes, I remember the people who came before me, the ones that we had the opportunity to know and love. But do you ever think to yourself, why did they live the type of life that they lived? Year after year after year after year after year. Why did they die an early death? Why were they plagued with these diseases and these malignancies and these sicknesses? Why? So I just hope y'all not like worshiping your ancestors. And just in case anybody's on here, I always like to make sure I say it, that this is not the place for you. This is not that. Okay? Not saying we don't love them. Okay? But when we're talking about moving forward and being who God has called us to be, we've got to look and see what hindrances, what open doors does the enemy have to our bloodline because of the decision of somebody else on our bloodline. And sometimes it happens not to a decision of their own, but because it was forced upon them. Lots of things happened in slavery, and it was forced upon many people while in slavery, which it wasn't a choice that they made, it was forced upon them. And we have to find out what those things are. And it's, again, you're not going to know everything that happened to your ancestors that were enslaved. You're not going to know what happened to your ancestors back in 1600 and 1590, like 1899, like maybe even 1905. You're not going to know. And that's okay. God will reveal to you exactly what you need to pray for and break off of your bloodline. All you have to do is ask. In the last video, I was like, God is saying, why haven't you asked? Like, ask and you shall receive. You have not because you ask not. You have not the revelations that you need because you haven't asked. You have not the things that the desires of your heart and the things that you've been praying for because you're not pairing that prayer and that faith with works. So you're not changing your decisions. You're not changing the things that you're doing. You're not changing the people that you're being around. You're still speaking to monitoring spirits on a regular basis. So I'm going to leave us right there. And I want you guys to go ahead and read Joshua chapter 1 and 2. So tonight when I go live, we will go over this again. And when we go over it again, something I want to say on this live, and I'll make sure I say it on the next live too, is beware, 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 beware. Be aware of familiar spirits. Be aware of familiar spirits. I had a couple of them come into my dreams over the last week. And then I see a live by Minister Kevin L. Ewing. I definitely recommend his YouTube channel so that you can really get to the nitty gritty of these things. Like, again, I'm not no master. I'm not an expert in everything. And when I have a resource, I'm going to tell y'all. And a resource I know that I can trust, I'm going to tell you guys about it. And Minister Kevin L.A. Ewing, E-W-I-N-G, I think, on YouTube. He just did a video about the strong man. And I said, look at God right on time. Because I knew in that dream it was a familiar spirit. I said, I woke up like, oh, no, thank you. And so the next day after I had that dream that I had, I do a prayer call every single Wednesday with a community. And I got on there and I told them, I said, beware of these familiar spirits. Because in the dream, the familiar spirit told me, I know what you like. They know you. So you need to have your spiritual eyes and ears on. You need to have your spiritual eyes and ears ready so you do not come into agreement with something that you've broken off 1,000,000 times before. That familiar spirit is coming back. That familiar spirit is visiting you, whether it's in a dream or a vision or a physical person. Because the familiar spirit may not look like that man or that narcissist that you used to be with, but it just came into a different man that looked different, or a different woman that looks different, but it's the same spirit. They know what you like, so they're going to come. They know what your flesh likes. Oh, this is so good. They know what your flesh likes. And the fact that that spirit told me in my dream, I know what you like. I said, okay, yeah, you know what my flesh like. You know what my flesh likes. But my flesh does not control me. My flesh is not what guides me and what leads me. My spirit is. And my spirit is like this with God. So God already let me know what was up. Okay? And I want y'all to know what's up too. So if you haven't already, get on my email list. Click the link up here. You'll see where it says literally it should just say get on the email list. If it doesn't, it might say like Master Your Mind audio class or something like that. Get on the email list. It's free. Just get on the email list. That is how you will make sure. Yeah, it says subscribe. It'll say audio class and subscribe in all caps in parentheses. Just subscribe there because, again, I'm working on my website and all the things. I will let you know when I'm going live. I will send out instructions or reminders as God gives it to me for you guys just to stay ahead, because God said the year is not over, and he said he does not want you walking into doors and into places where you don't need to be, or where that familiar spirit has led you to, which leads you down another path of destruction after you already broke it off with them, after you already ended it, after you already did what you were supposed to do. And here the spirit comes back trying to, because you already like this, you like, yeah, I done broke you off and I'm trying to get further and further and further away. The spirit like, nah, let me see how I can stay close. Let me see. I'm telling y'all, I didn't have that dream for no reason. And God will warn us of things like that so that we can be ready, so that we don't have to fall victim to Satan's devices. That's a device of Satan, a familiar spirit, the strong man, which again, if you go to Kevin L.A. Ewing's YouTube channel, that was the video that he just did, I think like 2 days ago or something. He said, expect the strong man. And I said, it is not a coincidence that he had this entire live. And just 3 days ago, I had this dream. And then God was like, the next day I woke up and God was like, you need to pray about this. And then boom, yesterday I get on YouTube and I see, he said, expect a visit from the strong man. And I said, who is the strong man? I started listening to the video. He said, he went right into it. I said, okay. Thank you, God, for the confirmations. And then again, I'm not an expert in this. Like, very specific people. I'm very specific and I'm very strategic about who I allow in my ear gates and in my eye gates. And I know that Minister Kevin L.A. Ewing is somebody I could trust. And the fact that he can give me more revelation and insight on that particular topic, because I had never had that happen to me before. A familiar spirit comes into my dreams looking like somebody that I know, telling me I know what you like. Okay, so get on the email list, you guys. I will see you guys later this evening. And yeah, go ahead and read Joshua chapter 1 and 2. If you have not read Deuteronomy, at least start with Deuteronomy 28 and finish the chapter, finish it out. Okay, but if you can, go back to Deuteronomy 25 and just finish out that entire book and read Joshua chapters 1 and 2 before tonight. Okay. I love you guys. Share this with anybody else. Share the link in my bio with anybody else so that they can get on the email list as well. The prayer of activation of spiritual warfare is also available to you for free at the link in my bio. So I love you guys and I'll see you later on.